Fairies aren't real, right? They're just stories for children. Beautiful, imaginary, glittery creatures with wings. Except they are real. Our ancestors believed in them, and they called them many names. The Fae, the She, the Alushis, the Devas, the Land Guardians, and the Spirit Helpers. And everywhere, people whispered the same truth. They are living and intelligent beings woven through the natural world. And they are very much alive and very real. Hi boo, it's me, your medium bestie, the Death Fairy, certified death dealer, and your spirit guide to the other side. Ding! There's a reason why I call myself the Death Fairy. I'm drawn to the Fae because they are very rooted and grounded to our earth. Very sensual and in tune with all of their senses. And this same earthly embodied presence is how I like to connect to spirit and our spirit loved ones who are no longer with us in physical form. So death is really scary, but I'm the fairy to help you guide you to your loved ones in spirit. The Fae teach me how to be present, how to honor life and endings with tenderness and clarity, and how to translate otherworldly messages into real help for us here in body, living together. Fairies are the spirits and energies of nature, not just in trees and in flowers, but in the cacti, in the rocks, in the rivers, in the air. In everywhere that nature is present, you can find a fairy. They live close to us in the lower astral realm. So here we are on the physical plane, very physical. If we go a little higher in vibration, we go to the lower astral, and that's where you can find the fairies. That's also where you can find the ghosts. So that's why it's a lot easier to see a ghost, communicate with a ghost, see a fairy, communicate with a fairy, than it is to communicate with our loved ones in spirit who are a little bit higher than that. Humans can easily encounter the Fae with a breeze, maybe a vivid dream. You can see them at the corner of your eye. They might not look like Tinkerbell with a cute little girl in a mini dress with wings. They look like flashes of light or just something that breezes by. And they're not all human-esque. They're different energies. Their personalities are bright, curious, sensory, and playful. They love beauty, music, scents, tastes, and of course, protecting our earth, keeping that balance. So when we harm the earth or break that balance, then that's when the Fae are not as pleasant. They can be seen as fierce protectors. So many of our ancestors actually have a big fear of the Fae. If you read the old Irish stories, they're all talking about how scary they are. But think about what was happening during that time. Industrialization. People were starting to build buildings. They were destroying forests and places where the Fae roamed free. And now, with all the big buildings that we have, it might seem a little harder to connect with them, but not if you focus on what I'm going to teach you right now. Let's break them down into elementals, which is essentially what they are. We're going to go into elements. So the first one being earth. When you think of earth, we think of grounding, protection, abundance, and the Fae are exactly that. Think of the Fae, the Earth Fae, as the deep, steady life of the land. Mother Earth's babies, creatures, loved ones, her children. And there are different elemental Faes, so I'm focusing right now on the Earth Faes. Earth Faes are the ones we are most commonly connected to because when we think fairy, we think tree fairies or flower fairies, all of these earth energies. You can really feel the Earth Fae in stones and rocks, in the roots from your plants in the gardens, in the mountains, in the weeds, especially those weeds that are just like pushing through the concrete, just like fighting their way through. Lots of fairy energy there. And these Earth Fae will really help you to ground because they connect you one-on-one with the physical part of nature. They're also really helpful for physical protection because they are all around us, literally. Us in houses, they will be the rocks around us, the grass surrounding us, the trees all around, the cacti, like I said earlier, lots of fairy cacti out there. And when we think of physicality, protection, we also go into that abundance, that prosperity, and that makes us feel resilient. That's what that grounding energy is that we can get from the Fae themselves. I love to walk, and when I walk, I love to just connect with the trees around me or any natural plant outside, but I love especially the trees. And the trees are really where I feel these devas or these nature spirits, because all you have to do, and this is what I do, I envision what my energy feels like, right? Just like, what is my energy, my own unique energy, and I just kind of send it out. Just envision your energy being pushed out, sending it out to like a tree. Then when you send out that energy, what do you feel in return? This is a lot of inner sensing, but that's how you connect to spirit. You use your inner senses to connect. And it might sound a little difficult, but all you have to do is intend to push your energy out, not even knowing what that might look like, but maybe what that feels like. So sense your energy, push it out, greet a tree or a flower or a cactus or a rock, and then see what you get in return. And literally it's just saying, hello, I'm here. That's all. Not asking the fairies for anything. We're just saying hello, just greeting nature. And you know, there's people who hug the trees. I really feel like that's just a deep spirit connection to the Fae. Very similar to that, maybe not being as noticeable. So that's earth. Let's go into air. With air, we think mind, ideas, messages coming in, the breath. And yes, they can intertwine. Like a breath can be very grounding while also being very airy and giving you inspiration with ideas and all of these things. The wind Fae, the air Fae are quick. They have this bright light energy about them. Think of something like a hummingbird, where they're very light and airy and very fast. They burn a lot of energy, and they're very inspirational because they are so light and so quick and so fun to just watch and maybe connect to. Their energy just lifts up your energy instantly. So you'll encounter the air Fae when you feel the wind, when you hear the little whispers that come with the wind, when you hear the leaves rustling in the wind. And it's a little harder to connect to than it is the earth Fae. Also, don't negate the little key sometimes you'll hear. If you have like a key going on in your ear, like the loud ringing sound, all the time, that's not good. But every once in a while, when they're just like maybe out in nature, doing your own thing, and you hear something just kind of sound off, think of the whispers that are carried through the wind, the birds carrying their own messages, tweet, 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 tweet. And most importantly, the inspiration, the thoughts that pop up in your head. I kind of like to connect these with not only the Fae, but with our spirit loved ones. But you'll know it's from the Fae because it feels very grounded and a little bit more physical, a little louder to hear. When it's your spirit loved ones, it's usually it's got a feeling with it. When it's Fae, you just kind of hear it. Like, I thought I heard my name, or I thought I heard something. That's the energy of air. You can really connect to the air Fae for clarity, for messages to come in to really hit and make sense, for creativity, and to strengthen communication. Think of how your voice is carried through air. we make a sound from our mouth with the air that we breathe out. It's pretty cool when you focus like that. It's like, wow, this whole time I have my voice that I can connect to the Fae with. So once you click that, it makes it so much easier. I get this a lot when I'm walking in the forest. And when I lived in Japan, I used to live in Shibuya, and I would walk to the station. And it's not the main crossing that everyone knows. It's kind of the back ways. And you walk through the forest, through Meiji Jingu, to go through to either Harajuku or Shibuya. And so I would walk every morning to go to work and walk back to go back home. And I would always hear the wind Fae in that forest, because I would hear the rustling of the leaves. And you can just connect. And one of my favorite movies to really feel the wind Fae is Totoro. I know it sounds kind of like, what? That's not real. No, Totoro. Japanese people are very, very in tune with earth energies. And they do believe in the earth energies really well. And so Totoro is a perfect example. He even has an umbrella. He uses the wind to fly. The suit sprite, the little black suit sprites. That's also a version of air fairies. And you see in Totoro, he looks kind of like a rabbit. So fairies don't have to look human. They can be anything. We just use our physical senses to translate what that energy is like using our own thoughts. So keep that in mind. Fire elementals. This one is fun. When we think of fire, we think of courage, that fiery heart, that passion, transforming something. When you burn something, it transforms into something else. An activation to get things going. It's really a passionate, strong energy that you can feel from fire. Think of the fire fae that can inspire you to burn away what no longer resonates in your system. So that's exactly what fire does. It transforms. This is how the fire fae communicate with us. Of course, you can feel these fae through candles, through the flame itself, through bonfires, something we love to do when it gets darker. The light is going down, and I'm talking about seasonally, of course, at night. We think of bonfires like in the fall, right? Where we have lots of dead leaves to burn. We have no more light. We light these giant bonfires, and it brings people together to bond. I'm thinking of like football games. Not sure if they still do bonfires. Back when they used to do bonfires. And think of all the energy you feel during a bonfire. It's gathering together. You're kind of giving away like stuff you don't need anymore, maybe venting a little bit and getting back like this new fiery spirit of like, yeah, we're gonna do this, it's gonna be great. And let's think of the fire fae for sudden passion and sudden rage as well, right? We can get so passionate just out of nowhere. Maybe it's the fae around us, those little fiery fae inspiring us. I am somebody who's very passionate. I really follow my heart, and I really feel like the fire fae inspire that within me. I love candles. I burn a lot of candles, and I'm one of those people that will burn a votive candle all the way through. I don't blow it out. And so I have fire safe places for my candles to burn. And because I burn so many candles, I always connect with the fire fae. I put my wishes, my desires, all of my heart onto these candles. And I just say, you know, I have total faith. What's going to come through is meant to come through. Anything that I don't need, just let it go. And that's how I use the fire fae. That's how I work with the fire fae. If you want to work with the fire fae as well, I invite you to do what I do. You can take one of those candles from the dollar store, formerly known as the dollar store. They're glass, and I like to take off the paper, the little plastic on it, and then I'll write on the candle. I'll write all of my desires. I'll write everything I'm feeling. I'll write any thank yous, love yous, everything onto that candle. Burn, put it in a safe place. I use my fireplace for all my candle work, or somewhere that is safe. Some people use a pot covered in sand, put the candle on top. Candles pop and break and explode, so please be careful when you're working with fire. Or you can use these little candles. The little candles that you use when your lights are out. The little dollar store, or you can buy a bunch of them at once. Tree lights. Use those little dollar tree lights and you just burn it. You can literally say your intention into the flame or write it on. Always say thank you. Always say thank you for your intention and let it go. Water elementals. Okay, let's think of emotions when it comes to water. Again, more creativity, intuition. They overlap sometimes, but think of flow. If air is inspiration from here, think of water as intuition, your inner knowledge coming out. We are made of what, like 80 to 90% of water, right? In our bodies. Think of all the water energy we carry within us. Also water, dreams, all the dreams that flow, and healing. Healing with the water, baths, things like that. Think of the water fae as deep, flowing life of inner knowing, of your inner wisdom. You can feel the water fae in oceans. Think of mermaids, right? Sirens. These are all names that we've given the water fae in rivers, in baths, and most importantly, in your dreams, where it's very fluid and very flowy. The water fae help with emotional processing, Where is this energy coming from? What does this mean? Why am I getting this feeling? All of that. They help you with intuition, strengthening it, remembering it, listening to it, and with your dream work. What do you want to get out of your dream journey? Also with healing, gentle healing. Just taking a shower, notice that when you feel awful and you just get into a shower, or even better, get into a bath, how that just seems to wash away. It literally washes your body and it washes your emotions, your energy. It just cleanses it. Water has such a beautiful cleansing and healing element. I really encounter the Fae when I go to the ocean and I just stare at the waves. I do not like the beach, mostly because there's a ton of people, so it always scares me, but I love watching the waves. Watching the waves, just imagining all that salt water, putting your feet in the water, letting it all cleanse you, and connecting with all the energies in that water. And of course, we think of ocean and fish and all of these creatures in the water. That is very much so. But think of the energies of the water that bring it through. And a beautiful way to connect to this water energy is like Ponyo, another Ghibli film. The Ponyo is like the little girl the little fish who turns into a girl. That's kind of like a water spirit, a water energy. And of course, any mermaid movie, anything to do with mermaids, really beautiful way to connect to energies. There's also, I think in the Celtic lore, the seal, the person that becomes a seal. So by day, they are human, and then in the ocean, they are a seal. So there's so many countries that believe in all of these Fae. Think of that. Think of Leviathan too. Really strong, biblical monster from the ocean. But what happened? Why is he so pissed off? There's something that triggered that, usually disrupting the flow of our ocean, of our earth. And so there's lots of beautiful Fae you can connect with. Don't be scared. Again, especially if your intention is just to reach out and say hello. It's just to say, I see you, I feel you, I want to work with you to help Earth. They're all cool with you then. That's their thing. It's like, hey, leave our mom alone. And then if you come up and you're like, I want to be nice with your mom too. Yeah, let me help protect your mom. They'll be like, cool, you're in. Thank you. You can connect with the water Fae by dream journaling. You can connect with your spirit guides as well by dream journaling. So you can get 2 birds with 1 stone. Also, if you're in the bath, just kind of meditating in the bath could help. Even in the shower, you can do this. Closing your eyes, just feeling what the water feels like. See if you can connect to the energy of the water. That's a really beautiful way to connect. What are some signs of fairies? I mentioned some earlier. Some can be little flashing lights or flickering lights, orbs. Spirit manifests as orbs. So this can be spirit loved ones or fairies. Sudden chills. Again, same as spirit energy. Synchronicities happening around. Maybe something in your house is missing. The keys, the remote controller. Today, I was getting ready to film this and my TV remote controller went missing. And I was looking everywhere for it. I knew where I was when I had the controller, which is in my room folding laundry. And then it disappeared after the laundry was gone. So I was thinking, oh no, it got mixed into the laundry. I went into every drawer. Well, the remote controller was actually under the baby's crib, all the way under. There's no way the controller can get all the way to the wall of the crib. The baby can't do that. The baby can't even reach under there. My kids were not even in the room the whole day. So it was really interesting. And I was like, okay, this is the Fae saying, hey, we're here to play. Fae loves to hide things because they're all about being present and saying, let's play, let's enjoy this moment. This moment is so important for the Fae. And that's what I really love to bring into my life. Just remembering every moment is special and important. Plants, if you're a green thumb, plants will change quickly. Maybe you'll have a seed one day and suddenly a giant sprout will appear, like a bizarrely strong sprout. You know what I mean? It's not naturally progressing sprout. It just happens. It blooms quickly. That is all fairy magic. Fairies are really helpful for helping you with your garden, with tending the garden. They're so happy that you are making a garden. They're like, yes, let's have more plants out there. Thank you. And think of the seeds as little spirit babies. You're just planting them, and nurturing them. something nice to think about when you're planting. And the fairies are also seen through vivid dreams. Spirit, you'll see your spirit loved ones. With the other vivid dreams, it's like you're going to a place. It's a little different. Think of like astral traveling kind of dreams over seeing your loved ones in spirit. That's how you can differentiate. Fairies are all around us. We have them in our home as well. Those are called brownies. I'm sure there's other names for them. That's the name I know them as. And don't feel like they're bad. They're playful. If you don't want the fairies in your home or in a space, you can just tell them like, hey, please don't be in this space. You have everywhere in the yard, everywhere outside, just this space, please help me keep sacred. And our ancestors used to use iron to ward off the fae. That's because they believe that iron, horseshoes, anything that had iron in it, a cauldron, that's why it's cauldron, they didn't want fairy mischief in that space. So anything made of iron is like a fairy safe container. Think of that. So if you really, really, really don't want the fairies messing with like your keys, have an iron bowl, an iron something in there so they can just back off. Creating fairy altars is also a really beautiful way to connect to them. You can build them in your home, outside, on a tree, in your favorite park, anywhere is fine. And all you have to do is just really have a space where you intend to connect to them. If it's outside, I don't want to do any fire magic, so no fires, no candles, not any of that, because it's really dangerous. Rather, I would leave little trinkets like crystals. They love sugar because they burn a lot of energy, just like hummingbirds do. So leaving little things of sugar, rock sugars around. Some people like to do candies. I want to think anything that's biodegradable is safe. So if you wrote like a note, maybe you can write on a plant, get a little plant, write something, a little letter to the fae, leave it there with an offering. And why do we leave offerings? We want to build a relationship with them. We don't want to just ask the fairies for their inspiration and magic and presents without offering something in return. So it's really beautiful to get into the habit of like, hi, this is my energy. I'm offering it here. I'm going to leave a little present for you. If you'd like to work together, that'd be great. Let me know who you are. And then see what you get back. When I really work strongly with fae, I get little presents. And there's this one time when I was working on my flight. So I believe I was reading books about fairies. I had my fairy altars going, and I was painting a moon fairy at the time. And when I was working on the airplane, because I was a flight attendant, in the galley, which is the back or the front of the plane where we prepare all the drinks and all that, I found a tiny little ring. This is after the cleaners came, because cleaners come and they clean the entire plane. And so usually it's pretty clean afterwards. So right after they left, I found a ring on the floor. And this ring was a tiny little silver ring with a moon on it. And I took it as a fairy present because passengers don't go into the galley. The only people who are in the galley are flight attendants, galley people. And because I was really working strong with the fae during that time, and I was painting the moon fae, I took it as a sign, and I have the little fairy ring. And it made my day so special. I was like, yes, they work with me and I work with them, and it's just a nice exchange of energy knowing that they've got your back. I'm sure you have your own fairy stories. If you do, share them down below because I would love to know. But I'm rambling on about the fae. If you'd like to connect, think of watching media or reading books on the fae. Anything from Brian Froud. He's an amazing fairy illustrator. His fairy illustrations are so beautiful, so intricate. I have his fairy oracle cards and some of his books, and they're just so good, so pretty. He really captures the complexity of what a fairy is, which is their own unique energy. They're not gonna be all goody-goody. They're just like us. They have personalities. They don't all look like cute little Tinkerbells. They look really different. You can have gnome-looking creatures to like mermaid-looking creatures to even Tinkerbell-looking creatures to insect-looking creatures. They're so different, so beautiful. He really captured their essence amazingly. Also, I mentioned there's the Ghibli films, Totoro for winds, the Kodamas. Kodama from Princess Mononoke, there's these little white fairy creatures in the trees. They are actual tree spirits, and they do light up. In Japan, you'll see little white lights sometimes in the trees, which is really cool. So that's not like taken from make-believe. In my opinion, this is all very real. Japan has so much beautiful energy because the people believe in them and they keep that energy alive. Ponyo for water spirits. And fire spirits, didn't we recently have that like Pixar animation where they're all elementals? It's kind of interesting if you watch it in the sense of you're thinking of them as fae. That might be pretty cool. A lot of people consider dragons as fire elementals, although I believe that dragons have all different sorts of elements and they're kind of a different energy. But yeah, that can be a way you can try to connect as well. If you're going to build a fairy altar at home, make sure it's clear of anything that can burn. Have a tiny little candle for fire. Have some incense for air. A cup of water for water. And a rock or a crystal for your earth. And just say, hey Fae, I want to work with you. You can have pictures of Fae, any pictures that you draw. Again, rock sugar, be careful of ants. Ants will come. Or roaches, please be careful of that. But you know, little things like that. Maybe candy that's wrapped. That way you don't worry about like insects going in. And again, it's mostly the intention. You want to set the intention that you want to work with them and they will heed your call. And fairies are their own energies, so please respect them. Do not belittle them because they will make themselves very loud and proud if you do so. They are not cute little creatures. They are their own divine being, so they deserve our respect. So please do so. Or you'll probably hear something from them. I have 2 fairy altars in my house, 2 fairy altars outside. I don't have a lot of trees around my space, so if I did, I'd definitely build them there. So have fun with this. So just to recap, think of Earth as maybe your body and your home, very physical presence, right? Think of air as your mind and ideas. Think of fire as your will and your passion, and think of water as your emotion and your feeling. Here's a little homework for you. Pick one element and work with that element for a week and see what you get. And think of it in this way. If you choose water, why don't you try journaling for 1 week? Journal with your Fae. Get out all those emotions. If you choose air, focusing on your breath. Do active breathing. Really connect to the wind Fae with your breath for a week. If you're focusing on earth, focus on grounding. Focus on stepping on that earth with your bare feet. Really focus on that. Like feeling what it feels like to be Mother Earth herself. And for fire, you can do candles. Safety. Please be safe with candles. And just release. Let go of what you don't need. You can write it down on a little paper. Safely burn it and let it go. Let it be. Or if you want to do it all together, why don't you just take 4 simple breaths each day? 1 for earth, just imagining what it feels like to ground. 1 for water, flowing into that emotion. 1 for air, feeling air lift you up. And 1 for fire, getting that passion burning. Breathe in, breathe out, once for each element. And with each connection, you get closer and closer to working with these earth energies, these fairy energies. It's not a coincidence. The veil is very thin from now, which is September, to the end of October. So this is a beautiful and perfect time for you to get really, really deep with fairy work. Some people call it Samhain. It's a beautiful time when all the fae are out. Think of Halloween with all the mischief. Get into that mischief. Playing like a fairy can be really helpful and inspirational to you. Think how children think. That's how fairies usually are. Very in the moment, very fairy lights, bright, fun energy, sensual energy. The fae are not a fairy tale. They're living and breathing and here in our world. They're speaking to anyone who is willing to listen. How are you going to listen? When we slow down to ground, to honor the earth, our senses get stronger because we're in this moment. And that's when you can really pick up on fairies' energy. The more sensitive you are to little energy shifts here and there by opening up your senses really wide, the easier it will be to feel them. If you'd like to go deeper, I have a free fairy guided meditation for you in my school community, Spirit Connection Made Easy. The link is down below. Come in, listen to the meditation. While you're there, you can do the 7-day Spirit Connection Challenge. Everything's all for free. I would love to know how you connect to the Fae in your own beautiful and unique way. And if this sparked something within you, please subscribe for more videos like this. Spirit is calling. Will you answer the call? Ding!